Okay, folks, we're back. Time to strap in. Friendly reminder, I am a human. You're listening to a actual human flesh and bone, blood, sweat, and tears. This is not AI. As we continue our journey, our path into this AI world, and we start learning and figuring this stuff out, this is where we're at with it. So for today, what did I ask ChatGPT? Hmm. This is going to be a long one, I think. It's pretty detailed. My question for ChatGPT was give me a detailed, that's not a question, I guess a request. Give me a detailed breakdown of Jeff Bezos' plans of millions of humans to live in space by 2045. How does he plan to accomplish this goal? I guess that is a question. That's what I asked. And ChatGPT responded, here's a detailed breakdown of what Jeff Bezos, primarily via his company Blue Origin, has said and is doing in pursuit of a future in millions and even billions of trillions. Let me repeat that. I'm getting distracted over here. Again, this is real time, people. Here's a detailed breakdown of what Jeff Bezos, primarily via his company Blue Origin, has said and is doing in pursuit of a future in which millions and even billions or trillions of people live in space. Note, many aspects are visionary, speculative, or still very early stages, or still very early stage. The goal of millions by 2045 is ambitious and not always stated explicitly. So this is based on his public statements plus Blue Origin's plans and the technical organizational steps known so far. If you like, I can also contrast with the risks and challenges. What Bezos' vision is: number one, living in space colonies, O'Neill cylinders. I don't know what O'Neill cylinders are. I would get into it right now, but it's going to make the video even longer. Um, Bezos often refers to the ideas first proposed by Gerard K. O'Neill, rotating space habitats, cylindrical or other geometries, in orbit that can support artificial gravity, natural environments, farms, beaches, mountains, and cities. He has said that planets like Mars are not necessarily the best long term homes. Artificial habitats may be more practical. Number two, scale. Trillions, but first millions. Bezos has said that one day humanity number number trillions in the solar system, supported by abundant solar energy and off Earth resources, asteroids and the moon, so forth. Um, ChatGPT, I just realized, shows at the bottom of these little bits of information where I believe they're getting their information. Like the first two parts, it says ARS Technica +3, and then this one says CNNBC +2. So I'm assuming, and TechCrunch. Okay, these are all different outlets that they're pulling all this information from. Okay, got it. So if we do want to continue, let's say with number two, scale, trillions, but first millions, we can click on the CNNBC and see what else he has to say. But moving forward, three, Earth preservation, heavy industry off planet. Part of the motivation is to relieve Earth of some of the burdens, notably heavy industry, so Earth can remain beautiful and largely residential, light industry, while more, especially energy and material intensive work, moves off planet. That's not a bad idea if you can figure that out. If you can have another planet where all this the drilling and all the big um industries that pollute the planet, if you could do it off planet, I mean, but then again, you're going to have people complaining that you're ruining that planet. It's always going to be something, people, and they wouldn't be wrong, because but we're humans. This is what we do. We go to a certain area, we take up all the resources, run it to the ground, and keep it moving. So I'm assuming that's what we I don't know if the universe wants us, if I'm being honest. I don't know if the universe wants us out there, to be honest. Now that I think about it, as much as I would love humanity to join forces, be peaceful, and travel the galaxy and explore, our nature, our root nature, is horrible, man. We everywhere we go, we just cause ruckus and mess. We're so we're so flawed. So I'm assuming the universe is praying that we never show up. Okay, this is gonna be I got a little bit of time. Let me see if I can read this off real quick. Specific plans, infrastructure currently underway. To make that vision feasible, Bezos and Blue Origin are pursuing several concrete stepping stones. These are things that help build the necessary infrastructure, lower costs, learn technologies, etc. It's going to be hard for me to read. Let me see. Okay, let's try to do it this way. Element, reusable rockets and launch infrastructure. What's being planned and built? Blue Origin's New Shepard suborbital, the New Glenn orbital heavy lift, reusability is core. He says you can't build large scale presence in space if you throw away the rockets. Okay, these are all, I guess, really shortened versions of the extended conversation and yeah. Okay, time frame and goals. New Glenn is in development. FAA has licensed it for orbital launches. Okay. I hope you guys are following me. I'm following it because I'm looking at it and I can see it, but I don't know if I'm relaying it properly. Commercial LEO, low Earth orbit destination stations. One of the key early projects is Orbital Reef, a commercial space station designed as a mixed use business park in low Earth orbit. It would accommodate research, industry, tourism, international cooperation. The plan is for it to be operational in the late 2020s, mid to late 2020s. To this has to be an old article already, being that we're going into 2026. So these have to be old articles. But I only heard Jeff Bezos mention this recently, and that it came across my algorithm, I guess. So this could be old news, but I just found it interesting. So it says the plan is for it to be operational in the late 2020s, mid to late 2020s, to replace/augment the ISS, which is expected to be retired around 2028, 2030. I didn't know that they were going to retire the space station, but it makes sense. Everything, they don't, unless they have it that it lasts forever, like some Star Trek type stuff. Okay, anyway. Habitation modules, life support, industrial capabilities. Through partners, Sierra Space, Boeing, Redwire, etc., building modules, habitats, for example, Sierra Space's life inflatable habitats, life support, cargo, crew transport, and Dream Chaser. This is not giving me a lot of information, but it's just telling me companies that are partnering and helping build the infrastructure, the beginnings of all these plans. Partnerships and commercialization. The idea is not governmental only, but commercial. Services, research, manufacturing and microgravity, tourism, the mixed use, nature is intended to allow different users to scale up. How it could all add up. Path from now to millions by 2045. Here's how the plan might unfold based on Bezos' comments plus what Blue Origin is doing and what would need to happen to hit numbers like millions living in space by 2045. Build the foundational infrastructure, develop and prove reusable heavy launch vehicles, i.e. New Glenn, with enough frequency and decreasing costs. Build a few commercial stations in LEO, Orbital Reef, and successors. Make habitation, life support, logistics work reliably, safely, and affordably. Ecological and resource systems, life support, recycling air, water, possibly negotiating closed loop systems or near closed loop systems to reduce reliance on Earth supply. That makes sense, because after a while it's going to, reducing costs going back and forth from Earth into wherever the station is. Okay, growing food, possibly hydroponics in space or via off-Earth sources. Material sourcing, using lunar materials, asteroids, or other sources to reduce costs of hauling raw materials from Earth. Human-scale living environments. Go beyond just for research or tourists to space habitats where people can live comfortably with social, cultural, and recreational life, psychological well-being. Artificial gravity, rotating habitats. To avoid health issues of zeroing in long stays. Okay, I'm reading this totally wrong, people. Oh, at least I'm real. I'm not. At least I'm not artificial intelligence. Artificial gravity. Rotating habitats to avoid health issues of zero G in long stays. Okay, I'm saying zeroing. Anyway, zero G, zero gravity in long stays. O'Neill cylinders or similar concepts. Bezos has spoken of these. Okay, so you need the gravity. You've seen what happened to astronauts when they come back, how they're all messed up, their bodies, because of the gravity and how they have to acclimate and everything. So I'm assuming living out there for long periods of time, it's a lot of adjustments. Maybe humans are supposed to stay on Earth. I don't know. I don't think we are, but I think we're supposed to travel. But we have to get our shit together first here before we spread our nonsense. Anyway, number 4, economics and demand. Cost must come down sharply to transport, habitat construction, life support, etc. Economies of scale. There must be a demand. People willing to live in space for research, living tourism, business, new industry. Bezos expects people will want to live there, mostly because they want to. Ancillary industries, space-based manufacturing, data centers, solar power from space to make it economically viable, scaling up. After a few orbital stations begin larger habitat constructions, possibly rotating ones far from Earth or at Earth Moon Lagrange points. Anybody? Let me know what Lagrange is. As resources and technology improve, scales to tens to hundreds and eventually millions of people living in space habitats. Time frame: the nearest term, 2030, orbital reef and similar LEO stations, establish infrastructures, transportation, crew, cargo, logistics. Midterm, 2030-2040, expand capacity, reduce costs, build larger habitats, maybe begin prototypes of O'Neill-style habitats, possibly begin mining or processing off Earth. By 245, if things go well, technology, cost, safety, and demand, a significant population could be living off Earth. Though whether millions are in full-time residence versus shorter stays is uncertain. Challenges and risks unknown. For the millions by 2045 vision to happen, there are many major hurdles. Bezos acknowledges many are far ahead in time, some challenges that they will come across. Cost of launch and transport. Even with reusability, sending mass to space is expensive. Getting down to cost per ton is essentially, getting down the cost per ton is essential. Safety and life support. Closed loop for highly efficient life support systems, radiation protection, medical support, psychological health, artificial gravity. Long-term health effects of weightlessness are serious. Solving these is via rotating habitat is non-trivial. Excuse me. One of you smart people out there in the world, explain to me what they mean by that. Materials and resources. Sourcing material off Earth or the moon or asteroids in large quantities is difficult. Also, building such habitats demands huge structural engineering and logistical feats. Economic viability demands. Will enough people want to live in space full time at the cost? Will industries produce enough revenue, tourism, research, and manufacturing to sustain habitat building and operations? Governance, legal, and social. Who owns what? This is going to be the big one. Oh my God. Humans are so greedy. Holy crap. A bit off topic. Earth is really goddamn big. There's more than enough food and space for everyone. This is what's scary about humans, that we literally go out of our way to kill each other. Honestly, we go out of our way. There's no way. With our technology in 2025 and the space we have, we find actual excuses to go out of our way to kill people when there's plenty of space everywhere. So it just lets me know it's not about space or anything. It's just about control and about ownership and power. It's sad, sad, sad. Because you know how much land there is out there? So much land, and people. Oh, anyway, I'm getting off topic. It's crazy. Technological risk. Technological readiness for many of these systems, inflatable habitats, rotating cylinders, large-scale solar power in space is still low or speculative. Timescale and realistic progress. 2045 is only 20 years out. Many of these steps are still at concept or design phase. It may take longer. Yeah, for sure. How near-term elements line up That's for sure. Okay. Next, how near-term elements line up for the 2045 goal? While Bezos hasn't laid out a fully detailed, step-by-step public roadmap with milestones all the way up to 245, several of the near-term projects can be seen as building blocks. Orbital Reef. Orbital Reef is a concrete project to establish commercial presence in LEO by late 2020s. If successful, it provides a platform for expanding human habitation, business, and tourism. The development of New Glenn as a reliable orbital reusable heavy launcher is essential for moving large mass modules, materials, and people. Partnerships with other space companies for modules, cargo, crew transport, etc., with which helps distribute the risk and pooled expertise. These suggest that by 2045, Bezel hopes that the technical, economic, and logistical foundations will already be in place for much larger scale habitats, possibly rotating ones, with more permanent populations. What's next? So let's end this here. So does Bezos' plan have millions in space by 2045? Feasible. Bezos has predicted millions will live in space by a few decades. Okay, this feels like it's just repetitive, very repetitive. But we get the we. Do you guys get the idea as to what his plans are, what their plans are? Because after that, I followed up with compare it to Elon Musk's plan. Elon Musk's plan is to have people living on Mars. Maybe I'll do not maybe I'll just read that. I'll read that information in the comparison to Elon Musk's on the next episode. But as for today, in our fight against technology or a fight to work with technology, depending on how you look at it, Jeff Bezos has plans to move people off planet and just float out in space and live and build, and that's great. But it has to be done properly, people. You can't bring the human. What can I call what we have in us? Whatever it is that makes us bad. Like this is something that makes us evil, pure evil. Think about how many people have passed, and this is supposed to be about. But think about all the people that have passed away over all these wars and stuff, and then the same people who were fighting with each other are now communicating and talking. All those people's lives lost for nothing. So we're going to continue with that same mentality. What's the point of going out into space? Well, really, honestly, I can hear the stars, moons, quasars, nebulas, whatever you want to call them, black holes. They're all praying that we don't get out there. They don't want our mess. They don't want our nasty. They don't want our gook, our filth, our human muck. Let's not mess up. You know what? This channel might become an anti-Bezos, anti-Elon Musk, because I don't want to dirty theirs. You know what? I come from a really bad neighborhood. Put it this way. Let me put it like this. I grew up until recently. I lived in a very bad neighborhood my entire life. My entire life. But a year or so ago, maybe 2 years, not too long ago, I moved to such a nice neighborhood. And I'll be damned if I make a mess in that neighborhood. I tried to clean up where I lived. I tried to clean up around, but the neighborhood itself is a bad neighborhood with people with a lot of bad habits. So when I moved to this new neighborhood, I was looking at the deer, the fox, the beautiful flowers. Everyone in the neighborhood says hi. Sunshine, I'm walking on sunshine. That's how I felt. That's how I feel every day. But when I invite people from my old neighborhood to my new place, I'm like, yo, do not bring that energy. Do not bring that mess. Do not bring that over here. We do not, I don't want that over here. So I can understand the universe crying right now at the fear of humans showing up. It's gonna be a crazy future. I don't know. I won't be around. But it's a good conversation to have. But I think I'm anti-humans traveling the galaxy until we get our shit together here. Imagine you're flying in space, traveling the galaxy and talking to aliens. You have all this knowledge and wisdom and technology and power to travel the galaxy, and they ask you where you're from. You're ashamed to tell them where you're from, because if they come over here, they're going to die. They're going to get killed and be persecuted and treated like shit, man. Humans are horrible people, man. I get it. I get it. Anyway, Jeff Bezos plans to. I don't see it 2045. I haven't heard nothing about this other than the recent post. I don't know where I saw it, but guys, let me know what you think, and let's keep this train going. Down with AI, unless it's for benefits of positivity and human upliftment. I guess I'm out of here. Peace.